time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about multiplication and division of fraction. But we're going to start with the multiplication. Multiplication of fraction is quite simple. Very, very simple. So that if you have 3 over 4 times 1 over 2, this simply becomes equals to 3 times 1 all over 4 times 2. Okay, so in the multiplication of fraction, we often do numerator multiplication to numerator, and we also multiply denominator to denominator. So that's why we have what you're seeing here. 3 times 1 all over 4 times 2. So this becomes 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so if you don't go through the stress of having to look for LCM, having to multiply the fractions by LCM, no, we don't do that. All we just do is numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator, you multiply and you're done. Okay, so the same thing applies. By now I believe you should know how to get ahead with this one, where we have 7 over 3 times 5 over 3. This is simply going to be 7 times 5, right? 7 times 5 all over 3 times 3. Okay, so 7 times 5 is 35, and 3 times 3 is 9. Done with. That's it. We are set. Like, this is it. There's nothing else we can do. Okay, so now let's go to the next one, where we have 14 over 3 times 1 over 7. 14 over 3 times 1 over 7. So what works here is that 7 here is going to be 1, and 7 into, now actually look at this, here is 7, right, and here is 14. Okay, if we go through our normal procedure of saying 14 times 1 all over 3 times 7, this is going to be perfect, right? So that we get 14 times 1 to be 14, 3 times 7 to be 21. Okay, but you see that this fraction can be reduced to the lowest term. How do we do that? We know that 7 can go through this and 7 can go through this. So 7 excuse me, into 14 is 2, and 7 into 21 is 3. Okay, so we can save ourselves this stress initially by looking at the solution. Look at this in this other way. 14 over 3 times 1 over 7. So when we do that, we are going to get 7 here, you see, because I have a multiplication sign, and I see that 7 can be divided by 7, and 14 can be divided by 7. So commonly, they have a common factor, so I can reduce this now. So what I'm left with is 2 times 1 all over 3 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 1 is 3. So you see, I saved myself one step by doing this. So that's basically how you do multiplication in fractions. Okay, so now let's quickly look at how you would do division in fraction. Okay, so I'm going to change all of this to division. If all those were division, how would you approach it? Okay, so how would you approach all of this if they were division? Okay, so we are going to look at 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 2. So now, this is simple. What we often do, just follow this rule. It is actually called multiplicative inverse of a number, but just follow what I'm going to do. So if I have 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 2, this is the same thing as saying 3 over 4 times 2 over 1. Now, if you're very keen, you're going to see the difference here. Here I had 1 over 2, but on changing the division sign to multiplication sign, I had to change this to 2 over 1. Okay, so it's called, 2 over 1 is the inverse of 1 over 2. Okay, so once that is done, I can now go ahead and say 3 times 2 over 4 times 1, which gives me 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 1 is 4. Alright, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 1 is 4. So once we have this, okay, once we have this, we are going to be getting but you see, this can be reduced, right? This fraction can be reduced. 2 can go here, 3. 2 can go here, 2. So we are going to have 3 over 2. Good. So the next one is 7 over 3 divided by 5 over 3. This is simple now. This is going to be 7 over 3 times 3 over 5. Now you see, based on the fact that we have multiplication here, and there is a common factor between 3 and 3. So 3 divided by 3 will be 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we are left with 7 times 1 all over 1 times 5. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 5 is 5. So you see, 7 over 3 divided by 5 over 3 gives us 7 over 5. Okay, the same thing, you can try doing this one by yourself. Divided by 1 over 7. This is simply going to be 14 over 3 times 7 over 1. So that I'm going to have 14 times 7 all over 3 times 1. 14 times 7 gives me 98. 3 times 1 is 3. Yeah, so that's that. See, so 14 over 3 divided by 1 over 7 gives us 98 over 3 in fraction. Okay, so this is it for multiplication and division of fraction. We can combine this. We are going to look at BODMAS. Okay, but before we look at BODMAS, we are going to look at how we can convert fractions to decimal fraction and to percentages. Okay, fraction to decimal fraction and percentages, and then we are now going to look at what we call BODMAS. Alright, peace out.